So backing up your SimSol can be done two different ways. The first method will back up your entire SimSol program, not only your claims, any personal data, custom data that you've entered, and then the second way focuses more on backing up just your claim files and saving them into a format that will allow you to simply import them back into a working copy of SimSol. So obviously I don't have to stress how important it is to back up your work. I've talked to many people in the past that have been out in the field and had a laptop crash and did not have SimSol backed up, and unfortunately had to start from square one all over again with no claims in their system. It's a huge setback, as you might imagine. So once again, I can't stress how important it is to back up your work. And in this video, we'll take a look at those two processes. So if you use any type of backup service that'll allow you to select a particular drive or select a particular folder for backing up, when it comes to SimSol, the most important directory or the most important folder on your computer is the SimSol folder itself. So if I bring up Windows Explorer and I go to my C drive, here's the SimSol folder located there. If you have the means to back up this folder in its entirety, that is by far the best way to back up your system. If you can get this entire SimSol folder backed up to an external drive or to a cloud drive, with the help of our tech support team, we can get your system back up and running, and it'll look exactly like it did before whatever technical problem resulted in you having to reinstall SimSol and use this backup. So of the two methods of backing up, this is by far the best, the most comprehensive. It'll make sure that you've got all your data stored and we can recover it. The second method is a feature that you'll use inside the actual software. And like I said, it concentrates on backing up particular claim files, particular claim drawers, and we'll go take a look at that now. So in the software, it is a feature called archiving. As you're looking at the main screen, you'll see these two buttons up here at the top, Archive and Unarchive. Now in this example, what I'm going to do is I have a drawer full of claims here. You can see it's got 23 files and drawers, what my drawer is telling me down here at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and archive this entire drawer of claims. What that'll do is it'll save all 23 of these claims to a single file that I can save anywhere. I can save it on my external hard drive to a flash drive. I can save it in, say, a Dropbox folder I've got shared on the web. And at any time I can take that archive and import these claims back into a working copy of SimSol. Archiving can also be used as a simple method to send files to other adjusters or contractors. If you're working with somebody else that also has a working copy of SimSol, you can archive a single claim, email it to them, they can take that file, import it into their copy of SimSol. They'll be able to work on it, see it the same way you do in your copy of the software. So to get started, all I need to do is, as I'm looking at this drawer, come up to the top here and hit this Select All option. You can see that highlights my entire grid of claims, letting me know they're all selected for archive. Next, I'll just move over here and click the Archive button. That brings up the archive window. The only thing that I really need to be focused on here is at the very top left is this Browse button. This is what allows me to elect where I want to save this archive. There are some other options on this screen, but they're not anything that you really need to be concerned about. Enable archive splitting. If for whatever reason the media that you're saving to does not have a lot of drive space and you need to save this archive over the span of multiple disks, you would use that. But with the size of flash drives and USB drives, you'll probably never use that option again, and most likely you'll see that option go away pretty soon and be phased out of the software altogether. Over to the right, there's a checkbox there, Exclude Claim Photos. If for whatever reason you didn't want to save the photos that were in your claims as well because they might be taking up too much drive space, as you know, a claim can contain 80, 100 photos. Each photo could be 1 or 2 megabytes. That adds up after a while. You end up with quite a lot of drive space being taken up by these photos. So if you wanted to create an archive but you were okay with excluding the photos in those claims, we would check that box and the archive would get created without your claim photos included in the files. Just keep in mind, if those photos don't get included in the archive, they will be gone. So if you go to import these files once again, the photos will not be there. Okay, so now we're ready to archive. All you need to do is come up to the top of the screen here, hit the Browse button. You'll see that allows me to select where I want to save this archive. I'm going to go ahead and just save this one in my Documents folder for now. And because my drawer is called Homeowners Claims, I'm going to go ahead and call the archive the same thing so I know exactly what claims are contained in this particular archive. Okay, I'll go ahead and hit Save. Okay, after hitting Save, I'm returned back to the archive screen. The path is filled out, telling me exactly where this archive will be stored if I want to retrieve it later. Just a note here, for the purpose of this video, I am saving it to my local disk C, but obviously for backing up, you would want to get this archive off of the C drive and onto an external device or somewhere off of this machine, because the whole purpose of this exercise is because we're anticipating a problem with this computer later. I can't access it. I want to have this archive located somewhere off this machine where I can retrieve it. So I'm ready to archive. All I do is go ahead and hit this archive button at the top right. That will begin the archive process. You'll see the status bar fly across the bottom there. Depending on how many claims you have, how many photos are contained in those claims, how large your claims are in general, will kind of stipulate how long this process takes, but it's rarely more than a minute or so. It goes back through a second time to validate the archive, and then when it's done, the window disappears, and that's archiving. So now all these files are currently stored in my Documents folder, and if I go back and check, I can click on Archive, hit Browse, and if I look in my Documents folder, there it is, homeownersclaims.sfz. That is the file that contains all of these claims. So at this point, I would want to go ahead and put that file onto an external drive or get it off this machine for safekeeping. So now that we've taken a look at archiving, we'll show you the process of unarchiving or importing those files back into the system. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here and get out of the archive screen. And the unarchive process is essentially the same as the archiving process, just kind of in reverse. So we go up to unarchive, and just like with the archiving, the first thing I do is just hit browse. I locate the directory I want to unarchive from, so I find the folder that contains the archive I want, which in most cases would be that USB drive that you've just plugged in or external drive, whatever it might be. Locate the archive, highlight it, and hit open. That will bring me to a screen that shows all of the available claims in this archive that I can bring back into the system. If there was just one particular claim that I wanted to bring back, say a claim that needs to be reviewed that might be a year old, I could just pick that particular file and hit unarchive, and that would bring it back into the system. Or I could just hit select all, and that will bring all these claims back into my system. So for this case, I'm just going to go ahead and leave them all selected and hit unarchive. When I hit unarchive, the process will begin of bringing these files back into the system. As the claims are brought back in, the system verifies that each claim is valid and readable, which is why you see this validation screen popping up for each one, and it'll do this for each claim in that archive as they are brought into the system. So we'll give this a minute to kind of let it do its thing here. And when the unarchive is done, the window will disappear. And where those files will be located, this is important to remember. Anytime you unarchive files, they always end up in this system drawer down here called Inbox. So as I'm viewing the inbox, these are all the claims that I just unarchived. And if I want to view one of these files, double-clicking it won't work. I cannot edit a claim while it's still in the inbox. What I need to do is move them to an actual claims drawer. So what I'm going to do is create a temporary drawer here up at the top. I'll click New Drawer. I'm just going to call this one Test for now and hit Done. And you'll see the test drawer pop up over here to the left. So once I'm ready, I can move these claims from the inbox to that test drawer. And if I click on the test drawer, you'll see there's nothing in that drawer yet. So I'll come over here to Inbox, highlight all the claims in that drawer by clicking the Select All option, and hold down the Shift key on my keyboard to multi-drag, and then drag these right over to the test drawer and release my mouse. There's the option Move Selected Claims to Test. I'll go ahead and say yes. And at that point, the claims are moved from the inbox into that test drawer. And once they're in the test drawer, I can open them up just like I would any normal claim and start to edit them. So that's archiving. That's also backing up. Two very important features. You want to get in the habit of doing this on a regular basis to make sure all your files are backed up in case something happens you need to restore your system.